let's be real. You and I both know your show rate is either absolutely fucking atrocious, or you know you're leaving money on the table because you're not using the absolute most effective process to scale your coaching business. Now you may be wondering, who the fuck is this guy to tell me my show rate's bad? And that's a valid question. My name's Calvin.Angel. I've helped generate multiple 7 figures for some of the top info offers in the entire space. And in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact step-by-step tactical process, not theory or anything, literally exactly what to do that's working in 2026 to make sure your prospects show up ready to buy. Now, most coaching businesses either are using outdated processes that are causing your prospects to show up on calls either completely uninformed on who you are, what you do, or they just don't even show up at all. But there's a specific framework that the top 1% of info offers are using to help generate high-paying premium clients that show up with little to zero objections. So let's dive right into it. I'm not about to leave out a single drop of sauce so that you can start printing money. So let's jump right into the fun stuff. And before I get right into it as well, I just want to give you guys clarity on exactly like why we're doing all this and like why this process exists in the first place, and the entire goal of ultimately why we have a pre-call process. The main part that most of you guys should probably know by now is that people need information before a call to ultimately show up in a way where they already know who you are, what you do, etc. And that's through forced consumption with your pre-call material, like your thank you page and other different resources that you can send that we'll obviously dive into here. Essentially, the most important part is that people actually consume your pre-call material, because if you're just sending it to them, or maybe you're not even sending anything at all, and they're showing up to the call, have no idea who you are, what you do, or how you can ultimately help them at the end of the day, and really what makes you different compared to everyone else. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Obviously, someone's going to book onto the calendar, or they're going to opt in through a lead form, whatever the case is. From there, a setter or closer is going to call them immediately. And it's extremely important that there is efficient speed to lead. You guys need to be calling your leads within 5 minutes or less, and you need to be tracking this through Slack. Go check out my other video linked down below to show you exactly how to track that. But if you're not already tracking it, you need to make sure you're doing that. And then if you are tracking it and you're experiencing speed to lead times that are longer than 5 minutes, that is an issue that needs to get fixed immediately. Because if you guys haven't seen the Harvard study, there's a bunch of different numbers out there. It's like 20x more likely, or even the bare minimum 5 times more likely to actually convert the lead when you call them within 5 minutes, just compared to 30 minutes. So if it's taking you guys 30 minutes, an hour, or hours, this has got to be your number one priority to fixing the business. I guarantee to increase your show rates and close rates, because think about it. When someone opts into your funnel, they are far more likely to be at a peak emotional state in terms of pain. If you guys are using your messaging, we're calling out pain points, they're going to resonate with that type of messaging, so that a peak state of pain, and also they have hyper awareness to who you are, so they have the highest chance at actually remembering your company in the first place. I'm sure you guys have called a lot of leads where they don't even remember what they opted into, they don't know who you are, they don't know why you're calling, and a big part of that is because you're just simply not calling them fast enough. After that, we're going to go over the exact scripting for when someone auto books versus when they just opt in. And so you're going to see the difference in scripting first for a low ticket offer, and then also for an offer without a low ticket as well. Let's dive right in, and we're going to also go over the SMS sequences and email sequences as well, so you guys have clarity on exactly how to maximize all of that too. You can literally copy and paste this into your business today, right now. Let's jump right in. So the first part, I'm just going to basically go over the analysis as to like why it's scripted this way, and then I'll also just show you like how it's supposed to sound. So in the very beginning, just the first line, hey name. The whole point of saying hey name, like hey John, is to make it conversational and make it feel like they should already know who you are. Some of you guys are saying, hey, is this John? Or is this John? Anytime we're saying, is this John? Obviously that means we don't know who we're actually calling. Their guard's going to be up. They're going to be like, whoa, like who the hell is calling me? Versus if you call your friend, you're just going to say, yo, what's going on, John? You're going to talk very casual, like they should already know you. So they're going to pique their curiosity, and you're actually going to, they want to know like, oh, who is this? Like I should know this person. Reduces the chance that they hang up on you within the first 5 seconds, so that ultimately you can actually have a valuable conversation. So the second line of questioning right here is when we go into saying, hey Dave, just Calvin here from Influencers Team. And whenever you say Influencers Team, obviously it's your influencer, whatever their name is, like Kevin's team, John's team, David's team, whoever it is, right? The reason we do this is to instantly give yourself more credibility, more authority, but then also the main point is to jog their memory. So they're like, oh yeah, like I just saw your guys' ad. So then they know why we're calling in the first place. And obviously this is if someone has actually booked a call already. So you're going to see the languaging here. So you're going to say, I just had a quick minute here, making sure that we keep this call fairly short. It should only be like 5 to 10 minutes max. The reason we do that as well is so that they're less likely to actually ask you, hey, what do you guys do? How much is it? Etc. Because that is what the sales call is for. And if they feel like, hey, we don't have that much time here, they are going to feel like, oh, I probably can't really ask this right now because we don't have that much time. And the next part, right? I've been in between appointments all day. Again, just making us look busy, which obviously you should be in between appointments all day. It looks like you recently scheduled a time with the team to have a chat about the thing you help with. Sales training, if you sell a real estate strategy, if you sell a trading offer, whatever it is you're selling, that is what you want to refer here and just plug it in for your specific offer. So just had a quick chat about your real estate strategy and to see how we can possibly help. I want to provide a courtesy call to let you know that it will be a Zoom meeting with our, if you're like a setter, you're going to say our senior account advisor, whatever fancy title you want to say, executive, blah, blah, blah. And then if it's obviously you as a closer calling them, then you're going to say myself, Calvin, who works directly with the influencer. Once again, giving yourself more authority at whatever day and time so that they're being reminded again. And then we're just going to clarify, hey, is this a suitable time for a Zoom call? So you know in front of a computer in a quiet environment. When you're doing this, the whole point is to actually make sure that they are in the best environment possible to take a sales call. I don't know how many of you guys have taken sales calls when someone's driving or they're not in a good place. The chances of you closing them is astronomically low. So we need to set the expectations ahead of time that they're in a quiet place, that they can actually take a call, but there's not a baby screaming in the background or something crazy like that. So then you're going to say, perfect, it sounds like you're good to go. And then from here, you're going to say, oh, just while I had you here, you're going to make it sound like you like just thought of this. Calvin does like to prepare, or you can say, I love to prepare for the meeting. Perhaps we can send over some helpful resources to help you better understand like what we're all about. So ultimately we can have the most productive conversation possible, just to make it specific for you so it doesn't bore you. You know what? And then you start asking contextual questions to your offer, to your industry. So if you're doing sales training, you're going to say, hey, what industry are you in? If you're doing real estate, what real estate strategy are you using now? Do you have any properties currently? Or you're going to say, if it's just a biz op and you're selling 9 to 5 people, you're going to say, hey, what do you do for work right now? Either way, we're just getting some type of situational question to get context on what their situation is. And then from there, we're going to say perfect or nice. We trained hundreds of students in companies for that thing that you're actually helping them with. Just curious, with all these like sales trainers and gurus out there, with all these trading experts and gurus out there, with all these different real estate strategies out there, gurus out there, influencers, like what actually attracted you to John in the first place for your real estate portfolio or for your trading strategies? Anything. Obviously, you're going to plug in your specific industry in here, and then you're going to say, okay, so have you seen our YouTube channel then? Like if obviously the influencer has any YouTube videos, and then you're going to say any of the influencers interviews with the clients specifically. We want to gauge, do they actually know who the influencer is? If you're working with a big one, sometimes they come from organic, or if they have no organic, then obviously it's going to be redundant. They probably haven't seen your stuff before. That's when you're going to pull up a specific case study. What you're going to do through your conversation of probing here, and you're going to say, okay, cool. You're currently doing, let's say real estate, for example. You're doing fix and flips. We worked with a ton of people who do fix and flips and then transition into rentals because it's more passive. So you're going to say, oh, you know what? You actually remind me of David. He's actually struggling with the same thing. He was doing a lot of fix and flips, but it was super time consuming, super manual. I mean, he was just having money tied up all the time. But then he switched over to rentals, actually created way more passive income for him, and then ultimately took away a ton of the headaches that he was experiencing, the exact same things with fix and flips. I guess, would it help you if I actually sent that over? When you say that, no one's going to say, oh yeah, that wouldn't be helpful to see how someone that was just like me got to a place of where I want to be. After you do that, you're framing it for a specific client case study if you do have that. Now, if you don't have a specific case study, we'll talk about the general case study wording here in a second. Then you're going to say, do you have about 5 to 10 more minutes? And the reason we ask this, and you'll see here in a second, is we want to make sure that they can go through the pre-call material right now, ideally. So if they're like, yes, okay, perfect. I just texted you a link. Do you see that? And we're literally going to walk them through grabbing the link, tapping on it, pressing play on the video. And so once you do that, you're like, cool, you click on it for me. And when you tap the video, does it play? Okay, sweet. Like sometimes it doesn't load, it's a little finicky. Perfect. And then put that video on 1.5x speed. You'll be able to knock it out in less than 10 minutes. Can you just shoot me a text when you're done so I can let closer know, or I just know on my end that you're all good to go? And you're going to say it very assumptively. And then they're going to say, yeah, sure, I can knock it out. And then from there, you're going to be like, perfect, go and watch that. I'll see you for tomorrow. And then like repeat the call time as well. That way they're going to literally watch the pre-call material right now, because half the battle is procrastination. So if we can help light a fire under their ass and literally just say, go tap on it for us, now they just need to actually follow through and watch the rest of the video. So this gives us the highest chance at increasing that forced consumption. And then if they say, no, I don't have 5-10 minutes right now, like I'm totally in the middle of something, you're going to say, hey, no worries. When do you think you'll be able to go through that? When they actually, you have to get a specific time. They're going to say, oh, today at 6 p.m. Okay, great. Can you shoot me a text once you're done with that so I know you're all set? And when they say yes, which no one's ever said no, because there's no reason to not shoot a text, you're going to say, awesome, hold the rest of your day, serves you well, bye for now. And the reason we have them shoot us a text is so that we can actually reach out, and it's for a good reason. Because if I say, hey, I'm going to watch that video you sent over to me later today at 6 p.m. and then they don't shoot you a text, you have a really good reason to follow up. When you follow up, you want to be able to continuously follow up with humor. And so some of my favorite lines are just saying something like, hey, did you get abducted by aliens? Like, what happened? I didn't hear from you, right? Anything you can do to disarm their resistance with humor is going to be the best, because they're also so much more likely to be just real with you and like direct and just say, hey, like I just didn't make the time for watching the video, whatever the case is. And then if they watched some of the video, but not all of it, you can just say, hey, like, did you get bored? Or like, what happened, right? Anything you can say, like say in a playful tone, right? Just like I did, where you're not like super monotone. You're like, did you get bored? That's that's super weird. Just be human. Like the best tonality hack I can give you guys real quick is literally just being human. Like that's literally it. Just sound how you would sound with whatever emotion you're trying to convey. So if you're trying to be curious, you are going to sound different than other people. So just sound how you would normally sound if you were genuinely curious about something. And then vice versa here. If you're concerned or you're being playful, say in a way where it is actually how you would naturally say it. So if you're like, hey, did you get bored? Like what happened? Then what's going to happen is they're going to say, no, I didn't get bored or anything. And now our entire job before the call, if you're a setter, closer, doesn't matter, is to hold them accountable to go through that pre-call material. Every moment we get, we're going to text them, we're going to call them, we're going to make sure that they actually go through that video. And then let's say you call and get a hold of them the second time, right? And they said they're going to go through the video at 6 p.m. the day prior, but they didn't do it. You're going to give them that hard time. You're going to say, hey, man, what are we going to do with you, man? Like, when do you think you'll for real be able to go through it? Just be real with me. And they're going to say this time, okay, sweet. Can you commit to actually going through it? I've literally have yet to have someone say like, nah, I can't commit, unless they're like, oh, I'm super busy. Like, oh, I whatever. It's like, hey, if you can't commit to sitting down for 5 minutes to watch a video on what we do, how are you supposed to sit down for an hour when we chat tomorrow at 3 p.m.? Like, how does that make any sense? And so the whole point is that depending on your situation, if you have a lot of lead flow, you can be very strict and stern and like genuinely have that conviction where you're like, hey, this is required to go through. But if you do not have that luxury and you have like very little amount of leads, and you're just going to say, hey, when do you think you'll be able to go through that? And can you be real with me, like actually make sure you go through it, just so we have the most productive conversation moving forward. Sweet. What time? And then do the same thing. Hold them accountable to actually going through that pre-call material. Let's say you don't have specific case studies. This is the wording for it. So if you have like a general case study that you kind of just send anyone and everyone, you're gonna say, hey, would it be helpful if I sent you a breakdown on how we help more directly with your influencer, so it makes it crystal clear on exactly how you can get the results you're looking for, plus you have the most productive chat with whatever closer. So the reason we do this as well is because your pre-call assets, like your thank you page, should be a video that goes over what you do, how you do it, who you've done it for, and then ultimately why they should choose you over everyone else. And so if they're nurtured from your pre-call material, they're way more likely to show up to the call and actually convert because they have information on your company. And so it tends to happen, especially when you're selling something very high ticket, is they don't have enough information on your company to make a sound decision. And for your sales guys, or if you're a sales rep yourself, you've experienced this where you're having to spend a lot of time informing your prospects on every little detail on like what your company does, how it all started, etc., instead of spending time actually like building emotional pain to create urgency for them to make a change. And so if you can leverage these pre-call assets to inform them so that your call can actually be spent how it's supposed to, selling them and helping them, then it's going to be way more productive. Then you're just going to say the exact same thing. Sweet. When can you go through that? Can you shoot me a text when you're done? Perfect. I'd come through on your end and then literally walk them through tapping on the video. That is crucial. If you're a sales manager or an offer owner or you're a closer or setter yourself, go watch your most recent triage, qualification call, appointment set, whatever. Ask yourself, did I actually send them pre-call material and then walk them through how to tap on it and then press play? Did I actually say, hey, this is required for you to go through? Like, did you say any of those things? And if you didn't, start implementing it and you will see your show rate go up and your close rate go up because they are consuming more of your information and you're going to stay more top of mind. The other optional ending you can do here for low show rates is literally just saying, hey, before I let you go, I have a pop quiz for you. What time is the chat with John tomorrow? And they're going to say, oh, it's at 3 p.m. You're just going to say, man, you're sharp. He looks forward to seeing you then. Like, that's perfect. When you do that, sometimes you can catch them off guard. They're like, oh, like, I don't know, like whatever. That's how you immediately know, like, if someone's not going to show up, if they can't even remember the time off the top of their head. But if they do know it, then it's an easy way to just build some rapport and then obviously ultimately make sure like they actually show up for the call because once again, they're reminded. Now, this is another optional ending you can do if you have extremely low show rates. You can use, it's basically like a mini identity frame. So you can say, hey, can I tell you something kind of crazy? Like, yeah. Roughly half of the people who say they don't see any conflicts that would end up having them to like reschedule, they just end up flat out ghosting. Now you don't seem like the kind of person to do something like that. Am I like totally off? And everyone's going to be like, no, like you're spot on. That I'm not the kind of person to just no show or ghost for no reason and not let you know ahead of time. It's like, good. I mean, can you believe people do that? Like, waste everyone's time. Like, at least give me like a notification like ahead of time because, you know, in case there's like a random zombie apocalypse or something like that, like, can we at least get around that? And they're like, yep, cool. See you then. Either way, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we're villainizing the type of person who just no shows with no response. Like, at least just let us know. This is how we can subtly say, hey, don't be an asshole. Like, just let us know ahead of time. Like, we understand life comes up. Just tell us, or bare minimum, don't be the kind of guy who just no shows. And this is the exact thing you can do when you have super low show rates. The last aspect that you guys want to be able to implement as a little bonus for watching this in the first place is that you're going to ask, is there any reason whatsoever that tomorrow at 6 p.m. you wouldn't be able to make that? Do you see anything conflicting? Can you like double check your calendar, make sure that's all good? Okay, sweet. Because once you verify that, like, is there anything you see conflicting? You'd be surprised the amount of times you're like, oh, I actually have like a doctor's appointment, or I gotta go to the dentist. I didn't even realize it. Or I haven't even checked my schedule. Like, I just kind of scheduled it in. Whenever you do that, you want to make sure they don't see any conflicts because that again gives you the highest chance of them showing up. That is the scripting for when someone auto books an appointment for a offer VSL funnel without a low ticket. Now, this is what it looks like when someone just opts in and they do not auto book. We're going to say, hey name, exact same intro. It's just Calvin here from John's team. I had a couple minutes because I was between appointments. Same exact intro here, except we're going to say, looks like you recently applied to potentially get help with your real estate strategy to grow your portfolio. Does that ring a bell? Okay, sweet. And just to make sure we can help to the best of our ability, would it be like a terrible idea if we just understand a little bit more about how you're currently building your portfolio and just ask a few quick questions to make sure like we're truly aligned? No one's going to say it's a terrible idea to make sure we're aligned and to see ultimately how we can help. Then it opens you up to be able to ask your qualifying questions and actually start building some rapport. So you're going to say, hey, perfect. What do you sell at the moment? Or what kind of strategy at the moment? And I'm curious, with all these people out there, same exact thing. What attracted you to us specifically outside of everyone out there? Because your differentiating factor is what's ultimately going to get a lot of these people across the line because it's why they booked in the first place. Leverage that as much as you absolutely can. After that, you're going to say, what kind of sales help are you looking for specifically so that you can help get more clients, make more commissions? So this is obviously going to be for your specific niche and depending on what outcome you get them. So it could be like, what kind of help are you looking for when it comes to your real estate strategy so that you can actually grow your portfolio and create more passive income. Same thing if it was like fitness, for example, not even like an ROI offer. It could be, hey, what kind of help are you looking for specifically when it comes to like lowering your body fat percentage and losing weight so that you can ultimately be more confident and feel more energized. So it's literally just what help you're looking for with whatever problem or whatever thing they're doing so that they can get whatever outcome everyone wants. And then if they give you like a vague response here, you're going to say, besides the obvious thing they just said, what have you seen in your, whatever it is, your strategy in particular that makes you feel like you can actually improve it? And so the reason we do this is because we want to probe into exactly what they need help with. And so for sales training, for example, we're going to say, hey, besides obviously like making more money, doing all that stuff, what have you seen inside of your conversations that makes you feel like you can improve in the first place? And to say, oh, well, I feel like I'd maybe handle objections better. Whatever someone says they need help with or that they want or need is what they do not already have. And when you're speaking to anyone, that is how you can build consistent pain. You speak to what they do not already have, because that's where pain lies. You could be talking to a billionaire and you're like, hey, what help are you looking for when it comes to losing some weight and actually lowering your body fat percentage? You can ultimately have more confidence. And they're going to say something like, oh, I need more help with my diet, knowing what to eat, or the exercise you need to go to the gym, or I need more help with accountability. Already, if someone wants help with all those things, they do not already have it. So they could be a billionaire, but they could be super overweight and they could not be healthy, and they could be putting their family at risk because they're not taking care of their health to be around for their family for the long term. Like I said, in anyone you're talking to, it doesn't matter how much money they make or where they're at what position. Same thing with, let's say, with an ROI type of offer. If someone is basically saying, I make $1 million a month already. Okay, cool. What help do you need? Oh, we actually want to like optimize whatever ads, or actually we want more help with X and Y and Z thing that you help with. Whatever it is, that is what's missing that's preventing them from getting to their next goal. When you're selling to, there's basically a concept of towards people and people that are away. And so when people are going away from their current situation, they typically are not in a very good spot. These are like the people who are in a really bad financial spot. They're really struggling to like make a buy. Like they're doing everything in their possible to get away from their current situation. Someone who's towards maybe someone that we look at in society is like fairly successful. Maybe they make 50, 100K a month, right? In these cases, you can still build a ton of pain with them because their bar is going from where they are now, which is good, to becoming great. And the only way to build pain here is to find out, hey, what help do they need? And when we find out that help, that is ultimately the thing getting in the way of them getting to their full potential. And if you already know, like yourself, you're a high achiever, you're a high performer, whenever you're at a certain point, you always want to strive for more because you know there's so much more possible when it comes to reaching your full potential. And so when you're not at your full potential, when you know you're not where you should be and you could be in a better place, that's what's really painful. In the event, if someone is just kind of sounds like they're not in a great spot, maybe they work at Walmart and you sell a $10,000, program, like you probably want to check if they can actually afford your services or financing or like something to be able to make it happen. That's where we're going to say, hey, if you were able to learn more advanced, obviously this is a sales example, sales skills that work with human behavior so you can improve whatever it is they just said, what is like the ballpark amount of commissions that you're hoping to make month to month? And you can't tell me the sky's the limit. So then it gets very specific on exactly how much they're looking to make. And so it's a very subtle way of then the follow-up is, okay, I see. And just for context, how does it compare to what you're doing right now on average per month? And so immediately we're building a gap with where they want to be and where they are now. So it's instant numbers gap, instant pain, but then also we're getting super clear on exactly how much they make per month. I want to make 10K a month, but right now I'm only doing 3. And you sell a $10,000 thing, you definitely want to be able to triage them a bit harder here and actually go into their credit, for example, and see what their financial situation looks like. So you're going to go open wallet, meaning you're going to find out their financial situation. Okay, so right now you're making about 3K a month. As you know, whenever it comes to like investing into a business, if you're obviously selling a biz op, or if you're talking about real estate, whenever it comes to investing in real estate, obviously there is investments that come into your skill set to ultimately get to that next level. If we were to help you and everything makes sense, are you in a position to be able to invest whatever it is like your lowest amount? Or you can literally say, hey, would you be open just having like a quick conversation around the finances to see like how we can help to make this work? Whenever you're digging deeper into their finances, they're going to say, oh, I currently make 3K a month right now. Okay, cool. And just like the income aside as well, just after like bills, expenses and everything, do you know like ballpark what you have in savings or what you save month to month? And they're like, oh yeah, I save maybe like $200-300. Okay, gotcha. Like that's another case where they make 3K a month. They only save $200 a month. And it's like, all right, well, what do you have in savings ballpark to make sure like this aligns with your opportunity? And so the way you can phrase it too, depending on what it is you do, you can say, hey, typically like you want to have at least X amount of dollars, like $3,000 to $5,000 for a down payment for your real estate property, or maybe it's for trading. It's like, hey, you typically want to have this amount of investment to be able to scale your portfolio when it comes to your trading. They're like, that's how you can position it to get clear on their savings. Just tie it to what your actual offer is and what it does. Now, if you're suspicious on if they can actually afford your services just based on the conversation or maybe the job that they have, like if they're at Walmart, like we're definitely going to want to, find out, can they afford our stuff if you're selling something that's $5,000-10,000? Because we want to see, hey, do they have the means to do it financially? If not, it's not even worth having the conversation. Don't waste your time. Downsell them on something, help them out in any way you can, point them in that direction. But ultimately, it doesn't make sense for you to take an hour of your time just to talk about something that they can't even afford. So be respectful of your guys' times and just cancel that call or DQ them. Whenever someone is in that position where you're like, oh, I really need to check if they have the finances for our services, then you're going to say, if you were able to learn more advanced sales skills that work with human behavior, whatever is the outcome is that you're doing, if you were able to learn more advanced real estate strategy that allows you to earn passive income, so ultimately you can spend more time with your family, which is whatever they said they're trying to do from ultimately getting help, what are you looking to bring in month to month? And you can't say sky's the limit. And whenever we do that, they're going to give us a clear, specific goal, and that segues us and sets us up perfectly to be able to ask, okay, that's perfect. And just for context, like, how does that compare to what you're doing right now? That's a really easy way that consistently works time and time again to get clear on what is their income. And this is how you immediately financially qualify. Let's say they work at Walmart and they make $3,000 a month. You can literally just ask them, okay, cool. And like the income aside, just after like bills, expenses and all that, do you know like roughly how much you have left over month to month? Just like ballpark. And like, oh yeah, like maybe $200-300. If they give you any pushback here on you asking about their finances, always tie it to your offer. So if you sell trading, you're going to say something like, influencer, whatever it is, Dan recommends that you have at least X amount of dollars to start a trading account so that you have enough wiggle room to ultimately like see success in the program. Do you like have that set aside, or is that something you're like even able to invest into yourself so you can actually make the income you want to make? And like that's one of the easiest ways to financially qualify in terms of savings. And then you can literally dig into it as well. You say you can literally just ask after they give you how much are you saving month to month. Okay, and just ballpark like what's set aside in your savings at the moment. Like, oh, I have like 2K. It's like, okay, they have 2K. They save $300 a month. They make 3K a month. So in reality, they have $2,000. They really only save $300 a month. And if you sell a $10,000 thing and your payment plans like in-house don't allow for something that low, then your only last resort is to ask them, hey, what's your credit score, by the way? Because we have a couple different financing options to make it more feasible for you guys. And then you're going to ask what their credit score is. Generally speaking, if you're selling something that is $5,000, you can, depending on what financing option you're using, if you're using like Klarna, Affirm, etc., things like that, you can might be able to get away with like 640-ish, 650th for $5,000. If you're selling something that's $10,000 or more, like around that range, you really want, I wouldn't even try applying unless they have a 680 or higher. If you're selling something past $10,000, like 12, 15, 20, then it's not even worth it unless they have at least a 700 plus credit score to be able to finance it in the first place. Now, if you have something like Split It, then the last resort you can do as well is you can actually ask, and Split It, by the way, if you don't know, is WAP's financing option. And so with that, you can actually just find out how much they have in terms of credit card limits. And so it's not based on their credit profile, it's based on how much they have available in terms of credit limit usage. And so if they're like, oh, I have $15,000 as a limit, and it's about how much they have available. So if they are spending $12,000 out of the 15,000 and your thing is 10K, like doesn't make any sense. But if they're only spending 2K and the investment is 10K and they have a $15,000 limit, then boom, that can make sense. And you can still book the call because ultimately that is a route you can go down to make it happen. And ultimately they should see an ROI. Obviously, like don't be financing people if you don't believe in your offer. And obviously you shouldn't be on an offer and selling anything in the first place if you don't believe in it. But besides the point, after you qualify financially, let's say they're all good to go. Now, after you've had that conversation about the finances, you're just to say, okay, that's all I need to know. And then based on what you told me, I think what we're doing here might actually help you and work for you. And you definitely be speaking with the right person for Monday's meeting, as Calvin is our senior account advisor, whatever fancy title you want to use, who works directly with Alex or whoever your influencer's name is. He can go over your sales process or your real estate strategy or your trading strategy in a little bit more, but more depth, and see whether it's something you're saying or not saying, and see whether it's something that you're doing or not doing that's ultimately causing whatever pain points they're experiencing. So in sales, it's probably one of the easiest things that you guys can internalize, even if you've never sold sales training before. Whenever we're going over the specific thing they're using that's causing their issues, that's the whole point of what we're talking about. So if we're like, hey, he can go over your sales process in a little, but more depth, and see whether it's something you're maybe saying or not saying that's causing these objections to come up in the first place. If it was like real estate, he can go over your real estate strategy in a little, but more in depth, and see whether it's something that is just messed up with like the structure, maybe it's like the strategy they're using that's just causing you to not be able to actually have the passive income you're looking for. And then if it makes sense, he can go over some possible advanced training options, some possible next steps on how we'd implement this strategy so that we can ultimately help you get to where you want to go. Does that help provide a bit more clarity? So then you just get tied down on that they are bought into the process, and ultimately that is actually helpful to them. They have more clarity, and that's the whole goal. A confused buyer will never buy. So the entire job of yourself is to make sure they have crystal clarity on what you do, how it works, and they're well informed before they show up to the actual sales call. Last thing you're going to say is, other than that, your call with closer's name is on date and time. Is that still suitable for a Zoom call, in front of a computer in a quiet environment? So you're just doing the final environment check that we covered before. And then obviously you're going to go into the specific case studies, the general case studies, or the optional charade endings here. So very, very straightforward. And then now we are going to dive straight into what it looks like with a low ticket offer as well. If you don't have a low ticket offer, you can just skip straight to the SMS sequence part because that'll be the next most valuable part for you. But if you do have a low ticket offer, then that's what we're about to dive into right now. So when it comes to the low ticket offers, these are like by far the best leads you will ever speak to, especially if your low ticket offer is actually good. Because if they consume the resource and they already see like they're getting a ton of value, like they can implement something or at least have more clarity, or maybe they really resonate with your strategy or whatever it is you're helping them with, they are going to be way better on calls when you're triaging them, everything across the board. This first scripting is going over if they bought your low ticket and then auto booked an appointment. And then the next scripting is going to be if they just bought the low ticket but didn't actually book a call just yet. Literally the exact same intro and beginning, literally just making sure they are in a suitable environment to take the sales call and that you're a busy person, and just making sure that you can actually help them with what's going on in the first place. After that, the main differentiator is you're going to say, oh, and just what I had you here, were you able to go through the resource name? And they're going to say yes or no, right? So if they say yes, you're going to say, sweet, how much of it did you go through? And if they say they went through some of it, you're going to say, oh, did you get bored? Or like, what happened? Anytime you can make a playful joke like that, they usually laugh, especially if you say it in a playful tonality. They're way more likely to just be open and truthful and honest with you. When you say that, they're going to say, oh, no, like I didn't get bored or anything. Okay, well, what were your thoughts so far? Like, what were your main takeaways? Like, what really stood out to you? What really like resonated with you? And that's what these questions are here when it comes to probing. What stood out to them? And then also what ultimately wanted them to purchase the resource in the first place. Those questions are meant to lead them to tell you what it is they want, but do not already have. Because again, that is where all pain is built. You speak to what someone is missing. Here, it's like if they bought the resource to, let's use sales training. That's probably like the easiest analogy I can always give you guys, because obviously we're selling people. If you're an offer owner, sales manager, whatever, like at some point you've sold some people, so you're going to get it. If you bought an objection handling playbook, what are you probably not the best at just yet? Objections. And so it's probably costing you money because you don't know how to handle certain objections. That is what ultimately is going to lead to your pain point. If you bought a resource in objection handling, you don't know how to objection handle, which is leading to you missing out on money. And as long as the amount you're missing out on is greater than the investment it'll take to improve your skill set to start overcoming those objections, you'll naturally buy if you have certainty in the person you're buying from. After you get clear on like what it is, it was basically their motivation for buying the resource in the first place, we just want to probe into like, what are they needing help with? And so that's the whole point of this. What is their goal and where do they feel like they need the most help to ultimately get to that goal? And again, whatever they say their goal is what they're ultimately missing. And so then you're going to go through and just say, hey, have you seen like any of the influencer's YouTube channel yet or anything like that? And if they're like, oh, not really, no worries, then you go through the same thing with a specific case study, general case study during those events. And then just so you can go through here as well. So after you get that, you're going to be like, oh, okay, have you seen anything on our YouTube channel just yet from the influencer? And if they say, no, not really, right? Just same straightforward process of sending over that case study, and make sure that they actually click on the link, they tap on the video, and they're watching the video to eliminate half the battle, which is procrastination. The other last little aspect is pretty straightforward too. If they say they went through all of it, it's like, awesome, what were your thoughts, right? Same exact thing that gets to the same conclusion and answers here. And then obviously you have the additional optional endings as well if you have like really low show rates, and you can use identity frame, etc. Now the next part, again, is the intro is the biggest difference. This is if someone bought your low ticket but hasn't already booked a call yet. Similar intro. Hey name, because we always want to be familiar. Hey name, just Calvin here from Influencer Team. I just had a couple minutes as I was in between appointments. Looks like you recently purchased your resource name to potentially get help with the thing you solve. Does that ring a bell? And they're like, yeah. So if you notice, my tonality is obviously curious. Like I'm almost like I'm just kind of lost. When people are lost, humans naturally want to help people out. I'm sure you guys have seen all the Instagram reels and whatever about like tonality and like Jeremy Miner's crazy tonality. And the thing is, most reps go wrong with tonality because they're You're trying to be someone you're not. And so the best tonality like hack you could ever have is literally just sound like how you would actually sound if you were trying to elicit that emotion. Now, what does that mean? If you are running into a situation where you need to be curious, how would you sound if you were genuinely curious about a certain topic? If you were angry, how would you sound if you were actually really mad? Like, what would your tonality sound like? And just literally say it like you would if you were actually experiencing that emotion. And so that's how you're gonna have the best tonality that comes off natural, because it is, versus something that's just faked. That's not real. Anyways, after you go through that, right, you're gonna ask them, were you able to go through the resource yet? Exact same thing, right? I went through some of it, I went through all of it. What were your takeaways? The exact same thought process. Now, the biggest difference here though, is that after we get clear on what their goals are, what we're gonna do. So now this is the actual scripting when you're getting someone who bought your low ticket but hasn't automatically booked a call just yet. So you're gonna notice all of these scripts have very similar overall frameworks, and it's pretty similar throughout the entire script, but it has little subtle nuances, and usually the introduction is just slightly different. So the good news is you're going to be able to implement it as soon as you just internalize the main portion of it. You're just going to be able to tweak the intros depending on the type of conversation you're having. In the beginning, as you can see, very similar. It's just, hey name, hey, just Calvin here from Influencer's team. And the only difference here is we're asking them, it looks like you recently purchased the resource name to potentially get help with X and Y and Z. Does that ring a bell? They're going to say yes. Same exact thing is up top here, where we're just asking, we're able to go through it. We're going to find out what it is that they're actually looking for in terms of a goal and in terms of help. And so when we find that out, the only difference here is we're going to say, just to make sure we can help to the best of our ability, would it be a terrible idea if we understood a little bit more about their current situation, and ask a few quick questions to make sure like we're aligned here. No one's going to say it's a terrible idea. And then from there, you're going to say, out of curiosity as well, what did you originally see or notice from the influence that stood out to you or resonated with you in the first place? And then what caused you to purchase the resource in the first place as well? Again, whatever someone wants or needs and needs help with is what they don't already have or they're not already good at. For example, if you bought a low ticket offer on how to objection handle, you probably haven't mastered objection handling to the level you'd like to be at yet, which is where your pain is, because there is a reason behind you wanting to get better at objections, which is probably to make way more money and to help way more people get out of their own ways with their limiting beliefs. After you get clear on that, you're going to probe into it and ask, hey, what's your goal with the business, with the strategy, maybe it's a certain income level, whatever it is. Then we're going to find out, what do you feel like you actually need help with to get there? And so if you're teaching them something that's like a skill set, that's going to be a very helpful question. If they are trying to start a business, that's going to be helpful too, because maybe they know nothing, like they've never ran a business before and they need help with every little detail. Then you're going to say, perfect, you're definitely in the right place. We trained hundreds of students who need help with the thing they said they need help with so that they can get the outcome that they want. Now, based on what we've covered, you actually remind me a lot of one of your current clients. And ideally, you like, for all of you guys, you should be studying your entire funnel. Like, you should opt in, watch your ads, look at your VSL, go through your pre-call material, watch literally every single testimonial video you have, and like brainwash yourself with it, because you're going to speak with so much more conviction because you're constantly reinforcing the results of what you're helping people get into. But then additionally, you're going to be able to bring up stuff like this when you're on triage calls to bring up a current client that relates to the person on their phone with. And usually you can have like one or two people that pretty much resonate with everyone else. And so what you can say is, now based on what we covered, you remind me a lot of John or David, right? He started out with the whatever your resource name is, but he quickly realized he needed a lot more in-depth support and really help implementing it. And once he got that help, he was able to achieve not only his initial goal, but he ultimately surpassed that to X and Y and Z ultimate goal. So I guess it would be a crazy idea to see how we might help you do the same thing. No one's going to say it's really that crazy of an idea, so they're going to agree to it. And that's when you just find a time on the calendar, you need to book an appointment with these guys who buy your low ticket. It's fairly straightforward. It's not that difficult to book them in, because if your low ticket is good and they already got value from it, it's going to be a fairly simple and easy set. Last little caveat here too is that we always want to make sure we are sending the case studies. Just because you book the appointment here doesn't mean you just like don't send them resources just because they bought your low ticket. We're always sending them that specific case study that we just referenced. So we say, hey, we actually did an interview with that awesome client I just mentioned, David, on the entire journey I just described. Like, would it be helpful if I actually sent that interview over with David and Alex, who's the influencer, so that you can actually like unpack all that? Sweet. When would you be able to go through that? Same exact process. Okay, can you shoot me a text so I know you're all set? Perfect. Did that come through on your end? Literally walk them through it. And then you're going to hold them accountable to going through that pre-call material throughout the entire time. Now, the one little nuance I actually want to bring up when it comes to the low ticket offer as well is I've seen two main different types of positions. Either with the resource, it's about speed of implementation, because like you don't want to just totally say, oh, that low ticket resource, it sucks, because obviously they just bought it and it's from your company. It's usually about speed of implementation. Like the reason it's so cheap is because they do it themselves versus you helping them actually implement it, potentially if you do it for them as well. And then if it's not about speed, sometimes you can also position in a way where it's like, hey, that's just like a fraction or a piece of the puzzle instead of the entire thing. And so like when I personally sold for a real estate offer and a strategy, that's what the positioning I would use, is that it was a piece of the puzzle to everything. And it's still a great resource. Like you understand the concept, but the intricate details of like how to find a property, how to actually implement it, how to make sure you're buying the right one, how to go about doing creative financing to get the funding to be able to buy these properties. That's what we help more directly with. And that's ultimately the things that holds people back from actually reaching their goals. So it'd be a crazy idea if we jumped on a call to see like how we might be able to help you implement all that a lot sooner so that you can live the life you want to live a lot faster. That's the best position you can have, is either speed of implementation, or it's just a fraction of all the things that you need to reach the success you're wanting to get to. All that leads back to speed. That's what people are paying for, is they value their time way more than money. But you can see the two different angles that you can approach it from. And then you're going to go ahead and actually grab that specific case study and then make sure you hold them accountable to actually going through it. And then you can see if there's just like a general case study too. And then again, the optional endings here as well. But that does it for the exact scripting. If you guys have any questions, like let me know down in the comments below. I'll make sure to make any edits to it, but you'll literally have this resource down below as well. You can go ahead and click the link. Like you can just copy this, put it in your offer. Like I said, it's literally the exact tactical step-by-step stuff that you need to do. Just customize it for your offer. And then the other side to this is the SMS sequences. So these are awesome. Ideally, you're texting from an iPhone, like bare minimum, so that there is blue text messages. Like it truly has such a higher response rate in general. And people are just going to respond more to blue because it looks real than automations that are like gray. If someone is responding to the CRM number, then you can literally just keep the conversation in there. I personally also like to do both because it just feels way more personalized, and ultimately it's just more human, right, than AI and automations. And so for B2C specifically, if you are in a place where you're doing like at least $50K a month in your info offer, then you can potentially look at stuff like SendBlue. There's a lot of other alternatives out there as well, but anything you can do to get some blue text messages is going to help you with your show rates, your close rates, and ultimately just having more output from the input you're putting into ad spend, right? You're just gonna have a better return. So the first text we send, and like this is sauce. We're gonna say, hey name, closer here from Influencer Team, my colleague. If you have a setter, let me know. You'd be scheduling a time with me today about possibly getting help, some further help with leveling up your skills or whatever it is you help them with. And obviously if you don't have a setter, then just say that you're actually scheduled a time about helping them level up. And then if what you want to do right after here as well is during this text, you want to purposely make sure this is an automation that is misspelled. So if you're using SendBlue and you can send it like this, or it even works if you don't have blue text messages, but it's just the most efficient when you do, you can still send this where it's an automation where it says like, I wanted to personally get you my number before then. When you misspell personally and then send a second automation afterwards that corrects it, like personally with these asterisks, then it looks more human, because AI doesn't mess up. Automations don't mess up. They type it the exact same way every time. So this is how you make it look personal, even though it's an automation. Definitely implement that to get higher response rates. And the second text is just saying, hey, looks like the setter also texted through an interview, just reminding them of the actual resource we sent over. Did you end up making some time to go through that before the meeting? And then you relink that video. So you're constantly holding them accountable to going through it, and you're giving them the reference link so they can tap on it again if they haven't actually gone through it just yet. If prospects are unresponsive, the first thing you're going to send is, not sure if you missed my last message, name, but are we still going to go for our Zoom meeting tomorrow at whatever time? And then make sure you type in their time zone so they know there's no mix up there as well. And then if they don't respond for another 2 hours, you're going to send this next text message, which is again, did you miss my last text message? And the last one, or the third one, whether they're responsive or not, you're just checking you in. Hey, did you have time to go through the resources to make sure we're prepared for the Zoom tomorrow? So super straightforward. So you're going to want to call every single appointment during the morning time on the day of their appointment, no matter what. I don't care if they're unconfirmed or if you have a whole day of confirmed appointments that you've already triaged and everything. I want you to double confirm it, because at the end of the day, life can happen, things can come up, right? So we want to use that as an angle when we're calling them directly. So we're going to say, hey, John, yeah, this is Calvin. I know we already confirmed yesterday. I just want to double check because I know life can happen and things can come up. Is there anything that would potentially conflict with our call later today at 6 p.m.? And then you're just double checking. They'll say, no, we're all good to go. Or they'll just say, oh yeah, something did come up, and you can reschedule them. And then now you have a more open slot for someone to book in a call, whereas you would have just gotten a no-show if you didn't double confirm ahead of time. After you do that, you're going to shoot them this text the morning of, hey, morning name, just Calvin here. Wanted to make sure we're all good for the Zoom meeting, and want to make sure you also receive that in your inbox so we're good to go. So it's just reminding them of where to access the appointment. This is a caveat too. If a prospect does not respond to the last text and like they're just totally unresponsive and they haven't said a word in the last 4 hours before their appointment, sometimes I even do 8 hours as well, depending on how much lead flow you have, you want to mark the event as free and then update the Google Calendar event with this structure. The reason we have a red emoji or a green emoji is because if you look at someone's email, it's literally just like a block of text. So if you have an emoji, it stands out, captures the eye, and they're like, what the fuck is this email? And they're way more likely to actually read it and then confirm if like, oh shoot, yeah, that appointment, and they just missed it, right? So then we put in all brackets unconfirmed so they're aware it's like an unconfirmed appointment, and then you put their name, and then I like to do an X and then your name, and then you do the event name. So like whatever your version of your strategy call is called. And I'll show you guys exactly how to free up slots and what this looks like. So if you come here, there's a text call. You can literally edit this and you're going to paste this in here. And so what this looks like is it's going to be Brian X Calvin, and then the event name, which is your strategy call name. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come here to this little briefcase icon, and you're going to hit free. And then what I like to do as well is color code my calls. So at a glance, you can literally see how many people are no-showing, how many people confirmed, canceled, etc. So right now, this person is unresponsive. So I'd mark it as red, free it up, edit the event name, and then when I hit save right here, this message is going to pop up. So the next thing you do is you go ahead and just copy this word for word. You're going to paste it in here and you say, hey Brian, that's literally it. You can send this. You don't seem like the kind of person to ghost. Are you okay? So like we're genuinely concerned, and it's using identity. Like you're not the kind of person to just ghost us, not be unresponsive. So it makes you feel bad. Like, oh yeah, I'm not that person. Please let us know if you're still good to go for our appointment. I appreciate your prompt response. So basically what we're telling them is you're kind of an asshole if you just ghost us and if you don't respond quick, because that's what this language is saying is you're the type of person to not ghost and ultimately the type of person to respond fast. You just send that, and that's literally all you do. And then from there, this is the final text you're going to send. If they haven't responded, you're saying, hey name, we haven't seen hear back from you in regards to an appointment. If there was a miscommunication or an oversight somewhere, just please let us know. Otherwise, we'll have to elevate to someone else from our waiting list and cancel the appointment. So it's still the entire sales process. We're holding our frame, we have the authority, and we're making it feel like, hey, so many people want to work with us, which should be true. Like it is true. We can't waste our time on someone who just literally won't give us the time of day. Like it makes no sense. Then you're just gonna ask, how would you like to proceed from here? So the ball's in their court and it's up to them. And then you can still have like drip campaigns for no shows, etc. that you guys can set up. The type of messaging I like to use for that is you can send memes. Memes work well. I also like just saying anything like, hey, did you get abducted by aliens? You know, are you okay? Do I need to like call an ambulance and send someone or something? Anything to kind of just joke around usually gets a prompt response. And like as soon as they text back, just call them immediately. Never try and like reschedule someone over a text. Always, if you can, try and call them immediately as soon as they respond, because that's the whole point. We just want them to engage to then call them because we know they're on their phone. They just responded. Now the last piece here is the email sequences. Very straightforward. One of the best things you can do just in general for your emails, if you have a thank you page, on the thank you page, you have breakout videos, which I know a lot of people do nowadays. You can literally make each of those breakout videos an email before the call so that they are getting nurtured on beliefs or maybe the most common holdups that people have for moving forward that need to be overcome so that they're way more likely to buy on the call. Now, the two most essential ones that I made here though, that you guys can just use is making sure that they're in a good environment and that they're just getting their pre-call resources. So this is like super straightforward, but the subject line is just important. A little emoji so it stands on their email, pre-meeting email from the closer for the prospect's name. Hey name, literally you can say whatever your title is in the company. Looking forward to that call. Want to make sure you're not driving, a good Wi-Fi, and you know it's on a Zoom call. It's required that you go through these resources. Same thing here. The only difference is we just want them to confirm the appointment through the email. So that's where we just have them, same exact email, just have them say reply yes, and then we still have the resources and everything here. So one's asking for a confirmation, and then one is just making sure they're actually going through the resources. But in both of these, we're putting the resources. And then, like I said, ideally you have a bunch of other emails that are all of your breakout videos, just literally in text format. That is the entire B2C triaging SOP, like everything you need in order to get the highest possible show rate, close rate, and to get people to show up where they already know who you are, what you do. They already like you because they're consuming a lot more content and have way more trust, because in this day and age, everyone's starting an offer. Everyone is selling some type of information. And so when people can watch your content, like before, just like you're watching this now, you probably have more trust with me that I know what I'm doing because I just broke down exactly how to do all this stuff. And so if your prospects are consuming the exact same type of stuff, they're going to have more trust, like you more, because they see you're more human, and they're going to be way more willing to work with you in the future. I'm going to drop this doc right down below so you guys can literally make a copy, have access to it, copy everything in here, use it in your business, and just comment down below the results that you got. If you guys found this was helpful, stay tuned, subscribe, turn on notifications, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.